Kyle Richards has spent 15 years on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills doing the exact same thing. Sitting in rooms, gathering information, walking it over to the next woman, and watching the chaos unfold while she clutches her chest and says, "Oh my God." Like she had nothing to do with it. And the season 15 reunion with Dorrit, that was just the latest exhibit in a 15-year pattern that no amount of splits on the dance floor can distract us from. I spent $4,000 having you go and speak to the girls about the lot of money she's spending. I'm not discussing financial positions with you, I'm sorry. So, let's run the tape. Every woman, every betrayal, every time Kyle played both sides and somehow ended up the victim. If you want to understand how Kyle operates, you don't need to go further than where it all started, season 1 in the back of a limousine. The year was 2010. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills had just premiered, and the Richards sisters were already carrying decades of family tension onto Bravo's cameras. Kim Richards, a former child star who had been battling personal demons privately for years, was navigating a difficult time. And Kyle decided that the back of a limo with cameras rolling was the appropriate venue to blow that wide open. After a heated argument at the season 1 finale party, where Kim accused Kyle of stealing their mother's house, "Everything you've done for me." Yeah, everything I've done for you. You stole my goddamn house. Kyle fired back with the nuclear option. She outed Kim as an alcoholic on national television. Not in a private conversation, not with a therapist, not even at the reunion with Andy, in a limo, screaming, with Adrienne Maloof sitting right there trying to disappear into the leather seats. Now, here's what makes this so telling about Kyle's pattern. The moment was raw, yes. It was emotional, yes. But it was also a choice. Producer Dave Rupel later revealed that he actually tried to stop Kyle from getting in that limo because Kim was already so upset. Kyle reportedly told him she was getting in the car whether they filmed it or not. She chose the moment. She chose the audience. And it gets worse. Both Kyle and Kim later begged Bravo and Evolution to cut the scene from the finale. They pleaded. But as former NBC Universal Executive Vice President Sherry Levine put it, if it's shot, they edit it in. The damage was done. Kim's most private struggle was now primetime entertainment. Kyle's own sister, Kathy Hilton, has said she watched that scene with her daughter Paris and it broke down, shaking, crying, her lip quivering. Kathy didn't speak to Kyle for a long time after that. She stopped watching the show entirely. Now Kyle will tell you she regrets it. She said on Watch What Happens Live that if she could delete one scene, the limo fight is a no-brainer. But here's the thing about regret when it comes to Kyle Richards. She regrets the moment, but she never changes the behavior. Because this was just the beginning of a long career of exposing people when it benefits her and then crying about it later. Over the following seasons, Kyle continued to ride Kim's struggles for storyline content. Season after season, Kim's addiction, her relapses, her behavior became part of Kyle's narrative arc. The long-suffering sister who just couldn't catch a break. She cried about it in confessionals. She fought about it at dinner parties. She performed concern while cameras captured every painful moment. And look, addiction is complicated. Family dynamics around addiction are even more complicated. And nobody's saying Kyle didn't genuinely love her sister. But there's a difference between supporting someone through their darkest moments and doing it under studio lighting while producers count the ratings. Kyle never seemed to figure out where that line was. Before Kyle was outing her sister's addiction, she was picking fights with Camille Grammer in season 1. And it established a playbook she'd use for the next decade and a half. The drama started over a trip to Hawaii. According to Camille, Kyle made passive-aggressive comments implying that nobody would be interested in Camille without her then-husband, Kelsey Grammer. That he was the real star and she was just his plus one. Kyle denied saying it that way. Camille insisted she did and thus began the classic Kyle cycle. Say something shady, deny the exact phrasing, and then lose your temper when someone calls you on it. This escalated into one of the most iconic moments in Housewives history, the dinner party from hell. Camille invited her psychic friend, Allison Dubois, who told Kyle that her husband, Mauricio, would never emotionally fulfill her. He will leave me and go away with him. He will never emotionally fulfill you ever. Know that. As soon as the kids are bigger, you'll have nothing in common. Chaos. Absolute chaos. But notice what happened here. Kyle picked a fight with Camille. Camille brought reinforcements, and Kyle ended up the victim of the psychic's attack. Classic Kyle pivot. Then came the New York City dinner at Serafina, where Kyle screamed the now legendary line, "You're such a ___ liar, Camille." She yelled, she cursed, she told Camille to seek mental health treatment. All because Camille held her to account for what she said. This is the template. Kyle says something behind someone's back, it gets back to them. They confront her, she denies, deflects, screams, and somehow becomes the person who was wronged. She did it with Camille in season 1. She'd do it to bigger targets as the years went on. If Kyle's outing of Kim was her most personal betrayal, then what she did to Lisa Vanderpump was her most strategic one, and it cost the show one of its most iconic cast members. Kyle and LVP were genuinely close friends. Before the show, outside the show, they were tight. They were the central friendship of RHOBH for nearly a decade, but the cracks were always there if you knew where to look. It started in season 2 at the reunion when Kyle called Lisa calculated and compared being friends with her to playing chess with Bobby Fischer. That's not a compliment. That's telling the world you think your best friend is manipulating you like a chess piece. Lisa was deeply hurt. She pulled back in season 3. They tried to patch things up, but the trust was already fractured. Season 4 poured gasoline on the fire. During the cast trip to Puerto Rico, Brandi Glanville claimed that Lisa had planned to bring tabloid stories about Mauricio cheating on Kyle. Whether Lisa actually planned it or not, the rumor was now out there and Kyle was humiliated. Instead of addressing it privately, the whole mess played out on camera. Lisa denied it. Kyle was suspicious. The wound festered. Then came season 6 when Lisa Rinna and Eileen Davidson accused LVP of trying to drag Kyle into the Yolanda Hadid-Munchausen controversy. Kyle was annoyed about being pulled in, but managed to get past it. But the resentment was building layer by layer, season by season. And then came season 9, Puppygate. The scandal that broke everything. Here's the short version. Dorrit Kemsley adopted a dog from Vanderpump Dogs. The dog ended up at a shelter. Lisa was upset. Rumors swirled that Lisa orchestrated a plan to embarrass Dorrit by having her employee John Blizzard loop in Teddy Mellencamp so the story would come out on camera. The rest of the cast accused Lisa of leaking the story to tabloids. And Kyle was the one who went to Lisa's house to confront her about it. She walked into Villa Rosa, Lisa's home, her sanctuary, and essentially called her a liar in Lisa's own house, while Lisa was still grieving the death of her brother. The confrontation ended with Ken Todd delivering the most iconic dismissal in Housewives history. Goodbye, Kyle. And Lisa meant it. She left the show. She left the friendship. She never came back. Lisa later said on Watch What Happens Live that she didn't regret kicking Kyle out of her house. In fact, she said she loved it. When asked what it would take to reconcile, Lisa was clear. It starts with an apology. Kyle's response, she went on an Amazon live stream and said nobody's asking her to apologize. So, don't hold your breath. Here's what's so snake-like about Kyle's role in Puppygate. She didn't start the drama. She didn't leak the story. She didn't adopt the dog. But she was the one who took the kill shot. She was the one who walked into that woman's home, accused her of lying, and essentially forced her off the show. And then, she spent the next 6 years positioning herself as the one who was betrayed. Lisa Vanderpump, the woman who built an empire, who brought glamour and humor and actual British wit to Beverly Hills, was gone. And in her place, Kyle Richards, now the undisputed queen of RHOBH. Funny how that worked out. The other women confronted Lisa too. Sure, but Lisa herself said it clearly. She felt most betrayed by Kyle because Kyle was supposed to be her best friend. Kyle was supposed to have her back. Instead, Kyle led the charge. And you want to know the most telling detail? Kyle accused Lisa of being disingenuous and going out of her way to hurt someone she supposedly loved. Read that sentence again. Now, think about every single friendship Kyle has burned through on this show. The call is coming from inside the house. Speaking of patterns you can't unsee. If you're watching this and thinking, wait, she really does this every season, then you're my kind of viewer. hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because we're only halfway through Kyle's rap sheet. And honestly, it only gets messier from here. You'd think after the Kim situation, Kyle would have learned to keep family business off camera. But nope. Enter Kathy Hilton, Season 12. Now, some context. There was already tension between Kyle and Kathy that predated the show. When Mauricio left Rick Hilton's real estate firm, Hilton and Highland, to start his own company, the agency, back in 2011, it created a rift. The Hiltons took it personally. Business became personal, became family drama, became reality TV content, as it always does in Beverly Hills. Kathy joined the show as a friend in Season 11, and for a while it was lovely. She was quirky, she was funny, she was calling things the wrong name and microwaving everything. America loved her, but Season 12 brought the cast trip to Kyle's Aspen house, and that's where things went sideways. At a nightclub, Kathy became upset, reportedly because Lisa Rinna ordered Kendall Jenner's 818 tequila instead of Kathy's own Casa del Sol brand. Then allegedly, things escalated when the group didn't participate in a conga line Kathy wanted. What happened next was mostly off camera, but here's what Kyle and the other women said. Kathy had a meltdown. Lisa Rinna escorted Kathy back to Kyle's house, and according to Rinna, Kathy vowed to destroy Kyle and her family during her tirade. Now here's the Kyle move. Instead of handling this privately, it's her sister, it happened in her own house. Most of it wasn't even filmed. Kyle let it play out on the show. The other women discussed Kathy's behavior on camera, in confessionals, at dinner parties. Kyle sat in the middle of it all, teary-eyed, playing the wounded little sister while her castmates essentially dragged Kathy for an off-camera incident that nobody could fully verify. Lisa Rinna ran with it. She became Kathy's biggest antagonist, hammering the Aspen meltdown for the rest of the season and into the reunion. And where was Kyle? Right there, not defending her sister, not shutting it down, just letting it happen. Occasionally crying about how hard it was to be in the middle. Kathy later denied the worst of the claims. Several cast members, Crystal Minkoff and Garcelle Beauvais, questioned whether the accounts were being exaggerated, but the damage was done. Kyle had allowed, if not facilitated, another family member being dragged on national television. They eventually reconciled in May 2023 at a bridal shower for their niece Whitney Davis. Kathy came back as a friend in Season 14 and 15. And this time she mostly stayed out of the drama. But the pattern was already clear to anyone paying attention. Kyle will sacrifice a family relationship for a storyline. She's done it twice now. Two sisters, same playbook. Season 10 brought us the Brandi Glanville-Denise Richards affair scandal. And while Kyle wasn't the instigator, her role in it was pure snake behavior. Here's what happened. Brandi claimed she'd had a physical relationship with Denise while Denise was married to Aaron Vipers. Brandi told the story while sitting in Kyle's house with Kyle and Teddy Mellencamp. It then became the central drama of the entire season. Denise denied it. She tried to keep it private. She didn't want to discuss it on camera. And Kyle's response to that was essentially too bad. Kyle was publicly critical of Denise for walking off set and refusing to engage with the drama. She told Entertainment Tonight that she found it frustrating when Denise wouldn't show up to film. She said she took issue with it because in 10 years of filming, she had never once walked away from a difficult conversation. But think about what Kyle was actually saying here. A woman's alleged private sexual encounter was being broadcast on national television. That woman was saying she didn't want to discuss it. And Kyle's position was that she was obligated to sit there and take it because that's what they signed up for. Kyle didn't start the Brandi-Denise situation, but she helped create the environment where it became a public spectacle. She provided the platform. Literally, it was her house where Brandi first told the story. She applied the pressure for Denise to address it on camera. And when Denise eventually left the show after Season 10, Andy Cohen later confirmed it was over failed contract negotiations. Kyle was right there to fill the airtime. Once again, Kyle didn't throw the grenade, but she opened the window for it. And now we arrive at the present day, the Season 15 reunion. The latest exhibit in the case of Kyle Richards, serial betrayer. Kyle and Dorit were supposed to be close, like really close. They'd been allies for years. They survived Puppygate on the same side. They weathered multiple seasons together. Dorit was in Kyle's corner when the Morgan Wade rumors were swirling. And Kyle claimed to be in Dorit's corner when Dorit's marriage to PK Kemsley started falling apart. But season 14 showed the first fractures. Dorit accused Kyle of downplaying their friendship and not being there for her during her separation from PK. Kyle, meanwhile, was texting PK behind Dorit's back and claiming it was just friendly support. Mauricio and PK were close friends, after all. When Dorit found out and read Kyle's private text messages at the season 13 reunion, Kyle was furious. She later said on the after show that it really changed something for her and that she'd never had someone do something like that. But here's the thing Kyle conveniently ignores. She'd been doing variations of exactly that to other women for 15 years. Sharing private information, discussing personal business behind people's backs, having mutual conversations about someone who wasn't in the room. She just didn't like how it felt when someone did it to her. Season 15 escalated everything. Kyle went to the other women in the group, Erica Sutton, Boz, and discussed Dorit's spending habits, her behavior, her lateness, her general state of mind. She used words like erratic and manic to describe Dorit's behavior during her messy divorce from PK. She and Erica staged what amounted to an intervention about Dorit's spending during a group trip. Meanwhile, Dorit was going through a genuinely brutal time. Her divorce from PK had turned acrimonious. Reports emerged that her Encino home was facing foreclosure with over $842,000 in debt. She was trying to hold it together in front of cameras while her personal life imploded. And what did Kyle do? She talked about Dorit's finances to the other women. She questioned her spending. She brought up her financial position on camera. She went behind Dorit's back instead of going to Dorit directly. At the season 15 reunion, it all came to a head. Andy Cohen pointed out that Dorit had been worried Kyle's comments about her being erratic and manic would be used against her in the divorce. Dorit confirmed they had been. That's not just gossip anymore. That's someone's words on a television show potentially affecting legal proceedings. That's real life. When Dorit confronted Kyle about the spending comments, Kyle fired back that she's not in the same financial position as Dorit. And right on cue, Erica Jane chimed in with the kill shot. Well, the house is being foreclosed on. Kyle didn't even flinch. Dorit then issued Kyle a warning that might be the most clear-eyed assessment anyone has ever given her on that show. She told Kyle she hoped things stayed amicable with Mauricio. She hoped nothing turned. But if it did, and Kyle ended up dealing with what Dorit was dealing with, maybe she'd understand what it felt like to want support from her friends and instead get judgment and gossip. Dorit also made a claim that should make every current and future RHOBH cast member pay attention. She said Kyle has the power to get anyone off the show. Kyle reacted with shock, but does anyone actually doubt that? She's the last original cast member. She's been there 15 years. She has relationships with producers that go back to the beginning. When Kyle turns on you, the show turns on you. Ask Lisa Vanderpump. And the deepest cut. Kyle admitted on the after show that Dorit reading her private text at the season 13 reunion changed everything. She said it showed her that Dorit would say and do anything. But what does Kyle call what she did to Dorit all season? Going behind her back, calling her behavior manic, discussing her finances with the group, questioning her spending while the woman's house was being foreclosed on. That's not saying and doing anything. Kyle's own words on the after show were telling: if someone wants to see the worst in you, they're going to. She meant it as a criticism of Dorit, but honestly, it's the most accurate description of her own 15-year career on this show. Here's what nobody in the RHOBH cast seems to learn until it's too late. Being Kyle's friend is a temporary arrangement. She'll hold your secrets. She'll listen to your problems. She'll cry with you at dinner. And then she'll walk that information into the next room and hand it to whoever needs to hear it. The reunion with Dorit wasn't some isolated incident. It was episode 47 of a series that started in a limousine in 2010. Parts 2 and 3 of the season 15 reunion are still coming, and Dorit reportedly has more to say. But the real question is this: who's next? Because if you're sitting on that couch next to Kyle Richards, just know she already told someone about the thing you told her not to tell anyone, and she'll cry about it later.